Hello, this is David Scott Peters with therestaurantexpert.com, and I got to tell you, I'm absolutely thrilled you're here for this month's episode of the Smart Systems Insider version 2.0, a video magazine created for you, the independent restaurant operator, to not only survive, but thrive in the sea of chain restaurants out there. Make more money, get your life back, have managers know their job. In this month's episode, I am absolutely thrilled to be talking to one of my elite members, Sandy Coram. She has the Festive Kitchen catering and retail stores in Dallas, Texas. She's been in operation for many, many years, and she has gone from almost nothing, selling brownies to a restaurant, to a multi-million-dollar operation. She is incredible, and she's going to share with you the journey of how she started, but more importantly, how finding an implementer is critical to your success, and continuously monitoring your cash flow, how critical it is to you making money. Now, I've got a software tip for you from the Smart Systems Pro. Now, some of you are members and you're like, Smart Systems Pro is awesome. Some of you have been circling, wondering, maybe I should jump in. Well, this tip is going to show you how grouping your products is critical to your success, to really make things easier for you, and also easier to find your cost of goods sold errors. For instance, by grouping products, you're going to be able to utilize one of the most powerful features we have, ideal versus actual product usage. You'll see that you used 60 pounds of brisket, but you should have only used 40. And it's one easy step, grouping those products. I've got a coach interview with one of our coaches here, Greg Sauerbach, our solutions coach. He has literally a lifetime of experience in the restaurant industry and helping restaurant owners just like you find a solution to help you change your lives, get your life back, make more money. He's been with us for about 4 years, and he is a critical asset to us. So understand, he's talked to literally thousands of restaurant owners and managers just like you change their lives, finding what's necessary to make a change. When doing so, he has learned what some of those obstacles are to stop you dead in your tracks. You want to make change, but it's not so easy. It requires people, it requires buy-in, it requires leadership, and he's going to share with you how you get through that. He's also going to share with you how you identify those saboteurs. The people say, yeah, man, I'm in, but don't do anything. Be sure to stick around. Now, make sure you stay to the very end, because remember Sandy Coram, how I told you I was thrilled to be speaking with her? Well, I'm doubly thrilled. Because about 8 years ago, I sat with her and said, Sandy, you do an incredible job. You've been voted top 25 caterer in the nation. You have presidential awards. You literally know how to get thousands of people through a buffet line faster than anybody I know. You know how to sell, you know how to package, you know how to deliver. You need to help independent restaurant owners put that into their businesses. Caterers take their catering to the next level. And she's done that. She is the founder of thecateringcoach.com. And she's going to share with you some top tips to take your business from here to here. Be sure to stay to the end. Now stay with me, because in about 2 seconds, I'm going to share with you why categorizing your invoices is so important to have accurate cost of goods sold. If you want to know what your food cost is, it starts by using the correct numbers. Now let's talk a little bit about this. Why is that a challenge? Why would I even be teaching that? Well, there's so much information. We start with the beginning inventory plus our purchases minus our ending inventory gives us our use, the product that leaves the shelves. Use divided by sales gives you your food cost, your bottled beer cost, your draft beer cost, your wine cost, your liquor cost. You get the idea, right? Beginning inventory plus purchases minus ending gives us use divided by sales, cost of goods sold. Well, if you want the accurate cost of goods sold so you can measure, because that which we measure improves, that which we measure keeps us on budget, that which we measure makes us money, you got to be using the right numbers. Now, why would I say you need to start with the right numbers? And it starts with your invoices. Look, there's lots of information out there. When it comes in on an invoice, there's lots and lots of products on there. We've got food, so let's just specifically talk about food and food cost. A food invoice comes in from, say, a Cisco, a US Foods, Benny Keith, Shamrock Foods, FSA. Don't care. Whoever you're using, here comes the food. It's on an invoice, but on that invoice, there's a lot of extra information. Lots and lots of extra information. We've got to sort through that. We also need to trim down how much time it takes to put an invoice in. into your system, whether it's into our Smart Systems Pro, a competing software package, or just your QuickBooks or accounting software, there's things that we have to do. And there's some old practices that need to go away. Because in the old days, before there were software systems, if you wanted to find out if you had a food cost problem, it started with your invoice. And what you would do as a standard operating practice would be you'd take your invoice, old school, don't do it, not worth the time. Old school, take that invoice and you'd find out all of your dairy and total it up. You'd find all of your meat, total it up. You'd find all of your produce, all your seafood. You'd find anything and everything by category, total it up, and really total up those categories on your invoice. Then you'd put it in your QuickBooks or accounting. So that way you said, hey, in the old days, if my poultry costs went up, I must have a problem. Well, it's asinine wrong. I want you to think about this. What if you just sold more chicken items? All of a sudden, you merchandised your chicken sandwich, you sell the hell out of it. Yeah, your chicken, your poultry price or usage is going to go up. How much you've purchased, how much you've used, it goes up. It really has no value because what you don't know is that your sales didn't go up, or that you overportioned, or that you bought too much, threw it away, and did things. That's why you have key item reports and weigh sheets, right? Key item reports to prevent theft, track it, 5, 10, 15 items. Weigh sheets to proactively manage our kitchen to see if we have a problem, like we're over-ordering and the chicken goes bad, we can stop over-ordering. Well, we have all these systems to get there, but let's talk about this. Why is it an asinine old process? Because today with software, we know that we overuse the chicken because when we have the beginning inventory plus purchases minus ending gives me use, all of those purchases were put in line by line. Every product went in. We know whether it was food, we know whether it was janitorial, paper, and so on. We'll talk about that in a second. But I don't care that it was poultry. Why? Because I got these things called recipe costing cards. And when you map, like with our system, right, with Smart Systems Pro, you export your product mix from your point of sale system. We map it in Smart Systems Pro to all your recipe cards. And that way, when we have beginning inventory plus purchases minus ending gives me use, how much product I use, we know it on the product level. We know that we used 60 pounds of chicken. And based on our recipe cards and what our customers actually purchased, we should have only used 50. In this week, we overused 10 pounds of chicken. And next to it, we've got the weigh sheet, and we better see it there that we overordered, we threw it away, and we're never going to do it again. But if I don't, then I know I either have a portioning problem, I've got a theft problem. So now, portioning, I can then put a portion control system in place to control that. Theft problem, I'm going to put it on a key item report, and I'm going to pay attention to it on a daily basis. See, the old way of breaking up your invoice, poultry, meat, produce, dairy, and so on, is a waste of time. All too often, I run into restaurant owners who, like me, have been in the business 30 plus years, and that's an old habit. Get rid of it. It's worthless. If you're using Smart Systems Pro or anybody's software package, that's obsolete. So now that we understand that, what's the next thing? We need to break it up into categories. And what those categories are not dairy and so on. We've got to break it up to food. Food is food. We've got to make sure we break up janitorial, paper supplies, small wares, anything that you purchase that comes in on an invoice from a broadline distributor that is coming in, you categorize by category, right? That sounds redundant. Categorize by category. Food is food, janitorial is janitorial, paper is paper. Well, sometimes paper is food. And what do I mean by that? If in a recipe card, often people say, David, do I put paper in my food, in my recipe card? Well, the answer is when you use it 100% of the time. So let's say, for instance, you're a taco truck and all you can get from me is a taco, right? And if I want to buy a taco from you, you got a taco truck. Don't care how we look at this, right? You or me. Every time you sell that taco, it's wrapped in a piece of parchment paper. I can't have it on my hand. Can't have it in a plate, in a cup, on a bowl, in a saucer. Nope. You're going to have that taco 100% of the time wrapped in parchment paper. Then that paper is food. You buy it as food. You set it up in the system as food. You put it in a recipe card as food, you inventory it as food, it is food. It's an ingredient in that food item. It's used 100% of the time. When it's not used 100% of the time, we don't put it in there. For instance, if I'm a pizza place, 50% of my product is to go, my pizzas are to go, and then I've got the customer who comes in and goes, hey, can I have a box? You're like, oh, here. And you're like, damn, there goes a buck, right? Well, if I put a pizza box in a recipe card and say I use it 100% of the time, when I do my ideal usage and ideal food cost, it thinks I've used a box every single time. It's going to increase my ideal usage, meaning it's padding your food cost. I didn't use a box every single time. So that is a paper expense that doesn't go into as food, it is paper. So the rule of thumb, when is paper food and when is it paper? It's food when you use it 100% of the time in a food item. Make sense? Hope so. So now, we take that invoice comes in, we're going to break it up by food, janitorial, paper, smallwares, or anything else that comes in on the invoice by category. And this is important because if I go back to the cost of goods sold calculation, beginning inventory plus purchases minus ending gives me use divided by sales, food cost. That use is only the food that left the shelves divided by the food you sold. See, those of you who are actually putting all your paper, all your janitorial, anything comes in on that broadline distributor's invoice into your food cost, it's wrong. You don't sell bleach. You don't sell toilet paper. You sell a burger, a taco, a pizza, a pasta, a steak. See, cost of goods sold is the cost of the product you used that you sold. And so if you want accurate cost of goods sold, accurate food cost, it starts by categorizing your invoices correctly, dropping the old category process or procedure using poultry, meat, dairy, produce, and adopting the new, if you will, making sure food is food, Janny's Janny, paper is paper, and so on. And that way we can use the right numbers. See, whether you're doing it by hand, spreadsheet, or our software to calculate your cost of goods sold, your food cost specifically, if you start with the wrong numbers, you end with a bad number. And if you want to take control of your business, you've got to use the right numbers, the right targets in order to make change. I'm really excited about this interview because I'm here with Sandy Coram, who is not only one of our elite members and has a catering business that is like no other, and that's the Festive Kitchen. We're going to talk about that, but she's also an industry expert. She is literally thecateringcoach.com. This is somebody who can help any restaurant or caterer make more money. So this is kind of a dual interview. Yep. I'm really excited you're here with me today.
Thanks, David. Thank you.
Sandy, do me a favor. Tell everybody a little bit about your journey as a caterer. I mean, you kind of started off with some high heels and some dumb stuff.
Yeah, well, in actuality, I started off with a mask because I was a labor and delivery nurse. And so I started off that as my career, and then I had kids, stayed home and said, hey, I can cook. You know, I think I want to be a caterer. So I just kind of had no business background. I had no financial background. Trust me, none. I had no reason why I would even be in the catering business except for I love to cook, which is kind of like a lot of restaurant owners. They love to make lasagna and they think they can be an Italian restaurant. So I jumped off the cliff, said I was a caterer, and started baking brownies for a local hamburger joint for baked brownies, baked brownies, baked brownies. And eventually the business started to grow a little. I started doing a lot of weddings. But I had, you know, until I met you, and I'll have to tell you how I met him. It was his first speech for a big audience.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in the audience. I never go to any sales meetings or anything. Sitting there, read a green flyer. It was a green flyer. And it said, listed all these things that you were going to talk about. And I was like, I need all these things. I'm not making any money. I'm working myself to death. You know, all your bullet points. I can't remember all of them. And then it said, let's see, join today or something like that. And no, if you join, then you have a 100% money back guarantee.
Yep.
I could not hear him speak. I wrote out a check, walked up to you and said, here, I'm going to give you this money. And you're like,
yeah, I was a little freaked out. I was a little freaked out, to be honest with you.
So our journey began from there, and I started out as, I think, a champion member, but I never went to any meetings.
Right.
And then from there, David kept saying, Sandy, you need to, which is a lot of times what many restaurant owners many caterers, they don't, if you're the CEO, you don't have anybody that can do all the things that are required for SSP. Because let's face it, it is not a mountain, but it is, there's so many little things that you have to do, especially for a caterer, so many recipes. I think I have the record.
Over 1,700. That was a couple years ago, so I'm sure it's
2,000.
Yeah.
But so you have to get somebody to do it for you. So I finally found an implementer, and David always said he didn't want to meet me. Where's the damn implementer? And so after I got the implementer, then that helped immensely in getting started. So that was a short, long intro.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is, so everybody knows, started as a nurse, and then one of her first catering jobs I talked about in the heels is she literally had a car filled with stuff, heels and upstairs, and like all by herself.
Yes.
And it's grown to where you have 2 retail locations.
Yes.
You have an incredibly successful catering business, multi-million dollars in sales. I mean, you're not just a rookie in this. I know you've had accolades, top 25 caterer a couple times. There's a presidential award. I mean, this is somebody who has catered for literally presidents.
Still am.
Yeah, and business meetings and weddings and you name it, really as a knack. But one of the things when we first met, you weren't making money. I mean, you made some money, right?
Yeah, like I always like to say, I woke up at 1.6 million, and my husband goes, "Where's the money, honey?" Literally,
right.
Because I was like, when I started, we just looked at this the other day. It was 4% was my net for the year, and
so
I wasn't paying myself. I was what?
Didn't pay yourself a dime. Made 4%, which is not losing money.
No.
But you worked your ass off, right? Because you were doing the sales back then, you were shopping back then, you were cooking back then, you had a small team, but that was a lot of effort for not a lot of money. So where are you today?
Okay, so where am I today is we have 3, I'll go back a little bit. We have 3 production kitchens. We have a huge commissary kitchen. We have 2 retail food shops. And our business has, since that time, I don't mind saying it's around $4 million. And so our net though is like 20.5%. So that's a huge change.
That's life-changing.
That's life-changing. Life-changing, bank balance changing, everything changing.
But that journey didn't happen overnight. Like you didn't wake up one morning and say, I'm signing with David, I'm done. It took years.
Years.
I mean, literally years to do that. What you kind of mentioned that first change for you was when you got an implementer. That's what we call somebody who gets shit done. So what was that journey like? Because you tried to do things yourself first, right?
Yeah, I couldn't do it. Because we would have a coaching call, and I would be pumped up. Yes, I'm going to do these things, and then you can't as a CEO because you've got all these other things that you have to take care of. How do you have time to put in a recipe card? I mean, I didn't, you know. And then with so many recipe cards, it's like it's just overwhelming. And I hear that a lot of time from caterers. They're like, "Well, and we said this too. We're different." But David did teach me that food is food is food.
That's right.
And so even if you're a caterer and you're looking at this system, the thing is you need to understand it doesn't matter if they use restaurant terms. Just adapt it to yourself. It still works. It's the same thing. So back to the implementer, I finally got somebody to do the recipe cards. And guys, we had to start over. We screwed them up, had to start over again. And I know that happens to other people too. But anyway, but it was years. I think 3 years.
Right.
Something like that.
So it's not an overnight journey, but what happened is as you got an implementer, as you got more profitable, you started hiring more people, you got a new production kitchen, you had a sales team of people. I mean, your business blew up because you could focus on leading the business versus shopping and doing the bids and showing up at every store. Do you show up at every party?
No.
And in a December, how many parties would you just do in a December?
We did 21 in one day events.
21 events in one day.
This past month, and I didn't go to any.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Now, sometimes I probably should, go wave, but that day, no, I did not. And also, I was only up at the kitchen to just go, okay, did this go out? Did this go out? And yeah, no.
So what is it when we talk about systems? A lot of people say, like you said, caterers go, well, we're different. I think the only difference is you're a checklist nightmare. Meaning if you show up without a sterno, you're screwed. If you don't pack properly before you go. So what is it that systems not only made you money, but systems make you efficient, right? Systems give you trust. Talk about a little bit like how those systems help you pack an event to make sure everything's right or people showing up or whatever.
Well, I want to go back to one thing. Systems make you accountable. And a lot of people don't want to hold people accountable. And you know, we're here in a meeting right now, and I just learned something else yesterday. Yay, 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 on the new checklist that's going to hold people accountable for just in my production. We're going to say, did you make these cookie dough batches? And the answer, I'm not going to have them say, they can say yes or no, but we want to know if they did not get that done. So that's one of the systems. Back to packing, those aren't in SSP. I don't know if I'm answering this right.
You know, it's all systems. Doesn't matter if it's a software.
Yeah, okay. All right, so we have a system for everything, from down to the packing crates that we already have assembled that you can take, and you've got to take this all, because if you, one time, here's a lesson that happened to me. We're on top of a building, 300 guests were supposed to come, beautiful venue, great spring day. I was at the event. Well, we had failed to rent the forks. So the guests were supposed to be there in 30 minutes. The rental company is 45 minutes away one way. And so it's like something failed on a checklist that when we rented them, we didn't rent the forks. So it only takes a few times like that of different things that you're like, oh my God, I can't have that happen again, because you don't want a heart attack like this when guests are coming.
Yeah.
By the way, the forks did not arrive when the guests got there, but they did arrive.
Yeah, so there's a system, a process, a way to doing anything and everything, and it's whether it's the Smart Systems Pro as for the profitability, but you still have to lead your team. You still have to have your way. And if there's one thing that Sandy does real well is leads her company. There's only one way to do anything in her business. Right. That's her way. Right. Yeah. And it doesn't matter. Now, she's also like me, she runs a democratic dictatorship. Yeah. I want it, right? You want everybody's input, but by gosh, it's going to be your way. Yes. And I think that's pretty cool, and it's important. So if you were to summarize on the catering side of things, if I were a caterer or a restaurateur and implementing systems, you talked about having an implementer. You talked about having systems. You talk about accountability. Are those the three keys to what makes you successful in using systems?
I would think yes, but I also think cash flow would be my other one. The way I control cash flow. And one of the things that I think was the most important thing that I ever did, because I used to have real problems with cash flow, and restaurateurs have the same thing happen. You know, you go payroll, it goes like this, your bank account goes and then it shoots down. It's the same way with a catered event. You have all this money in the bank on Saturday, and by Wednesday it's sucking. It's like it's in the negative. As I started working on any way that I could to make cash flow right. So one of the things I did was I paid COD. Your advice. You said pay COD. You'll never be sorry you did. It is a switch in a mindset, but also, man, does it level it out. But then I still wanted more control. I think cash flow was my number one thing. Was I started doing payroll different. So I would do payroll where the hourly people were paid on one week and the salaried people were paid on another, and that was huge. And so it's just another system that we put in place. Sure. So I don't know if I answered that right.
No, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Again, all we're trying to do is you know, if you're sitting watching us, you know, what can you pick away from somebody who's been successful and started just where you are? Oh, yeah. You know, whether you're a current member or you're somebody who is circling around and wondering, hey, this system stuff, this journey. I just want to be really clear. Implementing systems not easy, is it?
No, it's not easy.
And the big problem is it's not the systems are hard, it's the people getting to do it.
Okay, I lost all, when you talk about change, and a lot of people don't want to change, we lost almost, we lost everybody but one person in catering because they did not want to do it. Well, guess what? You're the one that's paying the bill. I'm the one that was paying the bill. I'm the one that didn't have the money. So it was like, for all the effort. So it's like, okay, you know, the book Collins wrote that if you're either on the bus or off the bus, and so they're not. And we have a little phrase that we say, you're either a festive fit or you're not. And so a festive fit, from Festive Kitchen, a festive fit is they're going to do the systems, they're going to do what we ask them to do, and they're going to abide by that. And also another huge one is a lot of caterers do this, is the labor. is that they think, okay, December, bang, making all this money. January comes, there's nothing. And so what do? Is they keep the little old lady back there, rolling the napkins with the ribbons for the party that may come up in May. And you taught me that all comes into play with labor. If you don't have the money to pay them, by golly, they're not there.
That's right.
And that's huge, because I had to change the mindset, especially of one manager. She's still there and has changed, because she never understood, well, we hire, they're supposed to work 40 hours a week, and no. They don't.
Yeah.
You know, we even pay vacation based on how many hours they work. If they only work 34 and they qualify, then they only get 34 hours. That's it. So
bottom line, if you're a restaurateur or caterer, you want to get in there, you got to have systems. You got to lead your team. If you haven't heard that, she leads her team. You got to worry about and control your cash flow. You got to have systems. I mean, bottom line, here's a roadmap to success if you want to be there. Do you want to maximize the efforts you put into Smart Systems Pro to get the full benefit of the food systems or liquor systems? To be able to give your kitchen manager, your chef, your bar manager the ability to run a report and simply highlight and show that you're overusing a product? To know whether you need to check it out and see if it's being stolen, being overportioned, or you're overordering it and you're throwing it away? Because when you know that, you can stop those actions on a day-to-day basis. And all of a sudden, your food cost, your pour cost comes down. You get closer to your ideal food cost, your ideal pour cost. Well, in order to get there, there's one simple thing you've got to do. And that is to make sure you group your products. Now, let me kind of go backwards. Let's start off, if I group my products, let's say I buy shrimp from several different vendors. Well, I need to make sure I group those products so that when I run my ideal usage report, I know if I overused a product. So for instance, if I come over here to the Smart Systems Pro and I highlight shrimp 26 by 30, you'll see that it says group right next to it. That means I order it from multiple vendors. So in this case, no matter what my date range is, doesn't matter if I order it from multiple vendors or not, or the same vendor, that's shrimp. All it is one shrimp. And what that allows me to do is not have shrimp from Cisco, shrimp from US Foods, shrimp from Capital Seafood, and so on. And there's no way to know what my ideal usage is or my actual usage because I purchased multiple vendors. So we want to make sure we know shrimp is shrimp. So we're going to group that product. Now, what else do we see? We buy this, the last time from Cisco, 50-pound case. Now, we had on our shelves beginning inventory 1.1 cases. We purchased 1 case, and our ending inventory was 1.3. So beginning inventory plus purchases minus ending gives us our ideal usage, actual usage. What actually left the shelves is 0.78 cases. Now, this is one of the major reasons why we tell you you can't use the simple invoice log. You must use the manual price compare or import price compare function where maybe you're using Smart Scan, take a picture of your invoice with your cell phone, you're sending to us, we're transcribing it, putting it into a spreadsheet, you're uploading it. Broadline vendors, they already give you a spreadsheet of each one of your invoices uploaded into the system. We need the line by line of all of the products you purchased by pound, by each, by case, however it comes into you. Why? Because when you take your inventory, beginning inventory, plus purchases minus ending, we know exactly how much product left the shelves at the product level. Remember, that's how we can find we have a problem. Now, you're going to notice right next to it, ideal 0.66 of a case. That's based on your recipe cost cards. Remember the effort you put in recipe costing cards? Herculean effort, but once they're done forever. And every time you upload your invoices, those recipe cards go up to date. That's fantastic for recipe costing. But we know exactly how many ounces of shrimp we'd use on every item that uses shrimp. We know that if there was yield, what the raw product was, we can gross back up to it. So now, recipe cost cards plus your point of sale system, your product mix, export it and import it in SSP, map it once. Then every week, not only do we know our actual food, what left the shelves, our actual usage, we know our ideal usage, no waste, no theft, no spoilage, perfect restaurant, which does not exist. But in this case, 0.66 of a case should have been used. No waste, no theft, no spoilage, perfect world, which we don't live in. Now, our actual is 0.78 of a case. Our ideal is 0.66. That means our overage, we used 0.12 cases too much of shrimp, right? We overused the product. Now, what does that mean? That means 6 pounds of shrimp out of a 50-pound case is gone. You do that 52 weeks in a row, all of a sudden, you wonder why you're not making money. Now, notice next to it, we've got a waste sheet. And the waste sheet, if it equals that or is really, really close, we know that we discovered a problem. Maybe we over-ordered the product. Maybe we made a couple mistakes and over-fried the shrimp, sauteed them, whatever it is. We now have an actionable item on a daily basis, what not to do the next day. Now, if I didn't have waste there, and there wasn't any waste, because we're using that system, maybe I have theft. That means I need to implement a key item report, count those portions on a daily basis to keep honest people honest and make them steal something else that isn't so expensive. But this is the real power. So because you're doing the data entry, it's right here. But you can't do it easily if you don't group your products. What's another benefit to group products? Well, I'm going to go to orders, and we're going to create a fake order here just for the day. So I can show you this process. Now it's loading. I've got to pick my order day and I've got to pick my delivery day. And what that's going to do is that's going to put in any par levels if I want. And I'm going to go down to Cisco because that was the shrimp that we purchased. I'm going to scroll down slowly here. And I'm going to come across. I passed it. Let me go back up. And here we are. My shrimp, 26 by 30. Okay, that was what we had in inventory, what we purchased. Well, we could have purchased other things. But notice it is grouped. The line item, if you will, is in purple, blue, whatever color that is. Now, what that means is if I scroll up in this order form and I go to Capital Seafood, you're going to notice here's the shrimp as well, this 26 by 30. It's the same product, different vendor, different pack size. It is grouped. And because it's gray, it means it's not the default product. I could simply go into the order and click on that, and it will ask me if I want to switch this product, this order. So I can see quickly, that's not the one I normally order, but if I need to this week, I can do so. Now, how do I get that? Oh, I only get that if I group my products. So let's go up to products. Let's take a look. Go down here in the bottom center. You're going to see group products. I'm going to click on it. It's going to bring it up. And I'm just going to scroll over to find my 20 by 36 shrimp. Now there are 2 shrimp. You'll notice I clicked on the little arrow, opened it up. And what I'm going to do is click on this pencil and you'll see the setup process. So I labeled it. Doesn't matter what vendor I get it from. As far as Smart Systems Pro is concerned, it's shrimp, 26 by 30. The usage unit is 1 usable ounce. See, this allows us to bring it down to a common price, a common unit. Because maybe I buy a 40-pound case from somebody and a 50-pound case from somebody else. I buy it by the pound by one place and a 50-pound case by another. So that bringing it to that common denominator, that usage unit, we can make everything equal. We can gross back up and know exactly, no matter what unit we're looking at, the last purchase, if you will, that all of our usage equals. Then we've got a couple rules. We got to look here and decide what it is. In this case, it's by an ounce. And then we have a couple rules: last purchased and manual choice. Last purchase means if I purchase it, notice I've got it from 2 different vendors. I've got it from Capital Seafood and Cisco. If the last time I purchased it was Cisco, guess what? It'll be Cisco on the inventory with the Cisco price. On my next order, it'll be Cisco as the default with the Cisco price. And every one of my recipe costing cards automatically will be updated to using the Cisco product with the Cisco price. So now my ideal food cost when I run my MPG, it's all good. And then there's manual choice. And manual choice says, if I choose in this case, if I switch this to manual choice, and you'll notice in the default here, I've highlighted or checked off the shrimp from Cisco. Then if I order from Capital Seafood, recipe card stays Cisco, next order stays Cisco, my inventory stays Cisco, everything's Cisco. But my usage will still be grouped because I can buy it temporarily from somebody else. I know by the time I take inventory, I will have reordered it, would be off the shelf. In most cases, my preferred way to go is last purchased. That way, everything's up to date magically. So how do I group a product? Well, I'm going to kind of go the long way again. We're going to go back to products, scroll down to the center, and you'll see group products. I'm going to click on it. And then in the bottom left-hand side is a plus symbol. Click on it, and I'm going to call this romaine lettuce. I'm going to say the usage unit is 1 ounce. Then what I'm going to choose for price is last purchase. That means no matter who I buy it from, the last time I purchased it, every recipe card changes, next inventory changes, next order changes. And when I look at my usage report, that's the last one that shows there, but everything will be in the common way we use it. So now I come to the add products and I type in romaine. And I'm going to choose my Kirkland from Costco, then romaine. I'm going to choose my Growers Exchange. And because last purchase, I don't need to click on anything in default. I click save. And so now when I go find my lettuce, here we go, romaine lettuce, you'll see both products are there. If I click on the pencil here, it goes back. So if you want to maximize using Smart Systems Pro, make it really easy to maintain your recipe cards, your ordering system, know your usage, make sure you group your products. If you need help with this, make sure you call our support team. We're here to help you Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 days a week. And we've got an online chat, email service, and so on. I'm really excited about today's interview. It's with Greg Sauerbach, our solutions coach here at therestaurantexpert.com. Greg is an integral part at helping restaurant owners and managers find the solutions necessary to help them make change in their business. Greg, I want to thank you for being with me today.
Thank you.
Tell everybody a little bit about your background. You've kind of grown up in this business like I have. You've done a lot of things. Kind of share a little bit.
I'm the guy that started washing dishes at 14. My mother was a bartender her whole life, so that's where I got my first job, washing dishes. And just from that point on, management, independence, chains, a lot of big different experiences that I've had. Been helping people with automating their food and beverage and labor cost controls for over 20 years now. So I've got both sides. I've got operation experience and tying in systems together.
So, not a rookie, been there, done that, yeah. And even before us has been helping restaurateurs like you all find solutions to make change in your business. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about today. You talk to literally thousands of restaurant owners and managers throughout a year.
All over the world.
Right? Raise their hand saying, my food costs out of control, my labor costs out of control, I can't get my manager to do their job, I really like to get out of the business a little bit, I want to open another location, don't know how to do that, I'm struggling. I mean, it's just there's a myriad of challenges that are out there. And there's one common theme, they want change. What are some of the challenges you see when it comes to change and a restaurant owner saying, I really want to make this change because it's a great idea? What does it entail? What are some of those challenges?
You know, I use an analogy of exercising or learning a new language or anything. I mean, change is difficult. You've got to expect some anxiety, some uncertainty, but you can't let that be an excuse to why you want to change in the first place. So you have to remind yourself every day, why are you doing this, and keep pushing forward. There are going to be tough days, there are going to be easy days, but you got to keep pushing and think of that why. Why are we doing what we're
And one of the things, I just came back from an elite meeting last week, and we talked a little bit about what makes people successful. And there were two personality traits that I think are really important when it comes to change and implementing the systems and making money and leading and all these things. And here's 20 of our top owners, been with us for many, many years. And the two personality traits came out were passion for the industry and persistence. Like, it's kind of what you talked about. You can start this idea of change, but hoping and praying it's going to change. What happens? They call up and say, okay, I want to make a change. I want to start this system. Things stop them. What are those things that stop them, that they need that persistence, otherwise they stop?
Yeah, I mean, you think of a restaurant, it takes a team to run that restaurant. One person can't do it. So one of the common things is somebody tries to do all of it themselves, and they fail. There's not enough hours in the day. So thinking about, you have a team in place already, managers, even the employees, they're all needed, and you have to keep that in mind and have them help you. Ask for help. That's another one that we don't that we run into is people don't ask for help. They want to try and do it themselves, and then they get frustrated.
So let's kind of put that in perspective. I always, when I speak all over the country, I always talk about I suck, I create work, right? If we want to make change in your business, you want to implement systems for every aspect, you really want to make the money you deserve, you really want to leave your business, have managers know their job, there's no magic pill. Right. There's real work that needs to be done. So talk a little bit, let's focus a little on I want to do it myself. So we see this all the time, and we tell people you cannot do it yourself. In fact, that on a call, you immediately say, hey, look, there's so much here. It's not hard to do, but if you think you're the only one, that you got to learn it first, you've got to know it, or you're the only one who's going to do it, they fail. Why is it they fail? I know, but what is it? Because it's not hard, right? Is it just there's too much work or there's too many moving parts? Why? Why does one person not be able to do all the things in their
moving
business?
parts, I like that. Think of everything that you do in the restaurant to serve a guest. I mean, there's everything from ordering to receiving the deliveries to figuring out what the menu is for that day if you change menus regularly. You've got scheduling, you've got people calling off, you've got new hires. There's so many tasks. So I like to see people map all that out. Those are tasks that you have to do no matter what. And then in terms of putting a system in place, work through a checklist. You know, this is the most important thing. If you want to focus on labor or food cost or beverage cost, just kind of set yourself a little roadmap, and that's where we can help, is to plan that out. You've got to break it down into the different tasks that you're already doing.
And so there's just too many things. And that's kind of where I talk with people all the time. Like, you may think you can do this stuff. It's not hard. Like, you want to implement a key item report and waste sheet? Done. Well, that's not the challenge. You can get it used for a week. It's getting it used every single day. Now, all of a sudden, you can't be everywhere 24/7. You can't make sure that you're the one doing it. You know, imagine in the middle of a line, somebody drops a burger and you're the only one to do the system. So they've got to put it aside, and you got to wait till the end of the shift that you walk over in this clear Lexan and do an archaeological dig because you're the only one that can write down, I dropped a burger, right? And so it's all those things. You think about it, some of the simplest tasks as a restaurant owner, our to-do list gets like this. And often it just gets longer and longer and longer, and the 5 things we have at the top never get done. New priorities jump on top of them.
Moving it, right.
And so let's talk a little bit about one of those challenges. If you can't do it yourself, you got to have others. What if I've got rookie managers? I don't have managers. I've only got key employees. I'm a small restaurant. Or I hired that chain manager that was used to having systems in place, and now I came to you as an independent, no strong fist over me. I don't do shit anymore. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Again, I think it's just asking for help. Don't assume that people on your team don't know what to do. That's what we're here to do, is to teach them. So if you have a young kid, that's willing to learn, willing to help you, that's a great place to start. And we can teach them these systems. Young managers, people with chain backgrounds. I've worked for chains. You're given these systems. You're not taught how to create them and put them in place.
Or even why.
You're just Monday morning, you're calling your boss with the numbers, and that's what you're told to do. Where in an independent world where we work at, we're actually teaching you how to build those systems and also implementing them week after week after week. So it's a unique challenge for the independent operator that doesn't have systems in place.
Well, I think it also comes into the side where you're never an expert in your own backyard. When I was a franchisor and I'd go to my franchisees, they wanted me out of their place, even though we're spending 7% monthly gross sales to have us support their unit, don't come in. As soon as I sold the franchise and I was starting this business, I did more coaching with my franchisees because all of a sudden, it's kind of that you're never an expert in your own backyard. And I often say when people come to our facility here and we do seminars and workshops and I teach and managers go, this dude is so brilliant. And you as an owner go, I've been telling you that for years. It's that you're never an expert in your own backyard. So often talk about how when you want to get that change in place, how somebody else, a third party like us, can actually move the needle forward with a manager. Teach them that they'll actually listen because we're not the parent, if you will, figuratively or literally.
Right, right. Well, I mean, we recommend when people join up with us a weekly meeting. You know, just have that habit. All this is new habits in place, and it takes, you know, a month or two to get those new habits established. So if we can get the management team and the owners together on these weekly calls to just review where are we at, what do we need to work on, set some goals for next week, and then during the week, you've got questions, raise your hand. We're all here to help people get through these processes and check them off. We have a phased plan that we use here, and we just start checking things off. That way your brain is going, hey, we are making some momentum. Sometimes we hear people, well, I'm not using all of these systems. I use the example of Microsoft Office. You don't use all of Microsoft Office. You use what gets you the results that you want. So we're really no different. Where are you at? Remember your why. Why do you want to implement this change? And go after that and do it week after week after week.
Okay, so we established you can't do it yourself. You gotta have, you gotta share, you gotta train people, you gotta have other people do it. There are two more pieces that we often run into, and I want to make sure you get your perspective on it. And that is, you need not only help, but you need an implementer, somebody who I eloquently say gets shit done.
Right.
And you got to be willing to share your numbers. Those are kind of the last two pieces that you and I talk about all the time when we're trying to help people. Talk about the implementer, who that is really, and why it's important to share your numbers. And not everything, like if you're driving a Maserati out of your business, nobody's business, but there are numbers they got to know.
Right, right. Well, you see us talk a lot about budgets, and so this is a numbers-oriented type of project. We're trying to get you that 15 to 20% bottom line profitability, and it starts with a budget. So we do need some of the numbers, and we need an owner to share some of the information with the managers because you've hired them to lead whatever area of the business they're at. The kitchen managers, chefs, front of the house managers, they all have tasks that are set up to meet that mission of that 15 to 20% profitability. So in terms of an implementer, not only having a person that we call an implementer, I'll talk about that in a second, but also holding each other accountable. It's like, you know, don't blame each other. It's like some of these systems are going to take time to learn and support each other, you know, kind of have each other's back. But hey, you didn't do your checklists or whatever systems that we're trying to implement. Really help each other and hold each other accountable. With the implementer, we like to have somebody that says, how can we get it done, not how can't it be done? And so sometimes if you listen to your team, you might hear that, well, that won't work here, or our restaurant is different, or those phrases. We hear them over and over again, and that's an excuse that's hurting your why. You know, why are you trying to implement these systems?
And so it kind of goes back to leadership. You know, I insult people all day long, and I don't mean to, but I don't really care in the sense that just because you own a restaurant doesn't make you a leader. And it takes leadership to be successful. And the beautiful thing about it is if you make that choice of change, if we go back to passion, you started your business because you loved hospitality and taking care of people. But that persistence, that personality trait that all of our top members have, is you've got to be persistent to go through walls. And when people tell you no, you say, no, this is the way I want it done. There are plenty of owners that want to do this. There are plenty of managers who either want to do it or say they want to, but they're actually saboteurs. Sometimes this process of change stops dead in their tracks because somebody who's well-natured, positive in words, ain't gonna do shit, right? Talk about the saboteurs. How do I recognize that person?
Well, yeah, I think as managers in a restaurant, if you listen to each other, how they phrase things, I mean, that can identify people that may need a little, you know, stepping aside and kind of coaching of, hey, we're all in this together, we're working to make this better. But if you listen for those little negative phrases, that can be a sign that you've got somebody that might sabotage what the goal is. You know, I use the analogy of a sports team. You know, we have a head coach and we have all these players that are very skilled. They all know how to play the game, whatever it is, but they all have a coach, and this is the mission, this is the game plan, and this is what we're doing. And things can change. The game plan can change, and that's hard for some people. Hey, we've always done it this way. Why do we have to change now? Well, again, your why is going to change. We've got minimum wages going up, prices are going up, so much competition, it's hard to find employees anywhere in the world. Sometimes I hear that they can't find employees in their town. It's literally all over the world.
Chicago, New York, Paris, London. I mean, we hear it everywhere.
Everywhere. It's tough. So you need to have those key team players, and but you need a head coach to lead that and keep reminding them what we're doing.
And sometimes when we talk about coaching, we want to be positive. But there are times where when you coach, it's like parenting, you've got to be very stern and direct. And Fred, my business partner, always talks about, if you remember the best coach you ever had, were they easy on you? No, then why are we kid gloving people? I'm not telling you to go beat them, but you are going to set higher expectations, hold them accountable to that. And here's the deal. We talk about the coaching, meeting on the weekly basis, putting the systems in place, seeing the change. Well, now it's measurable. We have budgets, we have measurements. Well, we also have the ability to say, okay, you told me you want to do it, but your actions are the opposite. You can literally log into the system and see you didn't order on time, you didn't order on budget, and you didn't follow PARs. You didn't schedule next week on budget, and you're not holding managers accountable to labor budgets this week. You've got checklists, but nobody's using them. I mean, it's amazing that when you start to implement these systems, the saboteurs can't hide unless you let them, unless you let the excuses, right? So talk a little bit about the accountability side, how the software, how Smart Systems Pro, the way we do things, along with coaching, really kind of puts them on that path, in that not everybody's going to make it.
Right. Well, I mean, in terms of the software, we have notifications, which are great. I mean, checklist notifications and the manager log that gets automatically emailed to help each other, remind each other what happened each day. So I think that we all have smartphones typically in our hands, and these notifications, I think, can help reinforce that habit that the team is trying to implement. You know, hey, you forgot that checklist. Again, we're not here to blame people. We're just here, hey, this is an important checklist. There was a time limit. Let's keep moving forward. You know, let's get it done. Same thing with the manager log. If I'm off today, I don't know what went on, but if I complete the manager log when I am working a shift, now the whole team knows what happened that day, what challenges need to be happening. So I think those, in terms of the software systems, those are great tools to just remind us. We've got so much going on in any business. Restaurants are no different. So these little reminders that the system can push out are great. Same thing with the scheduling. You know, you are going to deal with employees calling off or needing a day off, that kind of thing. So use these systems to help you remind each other, oh, I've got to address that. Because again, we're distracted. You're doing ordering, the phone's going to ring 3 times, you know, while you're doing ordering, doing a schedule. So use those tools in terms of Smart Systems Pro and the systems that we have. Use those notifications to help you, you know, meet that journey.
Just that kind of aside, taking you back to your chain experience, and you grew up in Independence, and so you've been helping, again, find solutions way before we even had software. You were helping another software company, remain nameless, kind of do the same thing. So you've been down the road. Systems. Why are chains successful with systems? Why should an independent have it?
Well, I mean, in my chain background, again, we had those weekly meetings. You know, the regional manager would call every Monday for the numbers, and we'd go over those key indicators of the restaurant.
So it's 1 measurement, it's 2, this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
So I always liken it as chain restaurants, they kick independents rear ends because they impose their will without being there. There is a system, a process, a way to doing anything and everything, and it's their way, right or wrong. So if you worked for me, there's only one way to count out a bar drawer. I don't care if my way is 20 minutes longer, but when somebody comes up as a new manager or training, I can train them on it. Somebody leaves, I've got somebody else trained, and it's my way. It doesn't leave when somebody leaves. So we've got all these systems, from daily manager logs and online checklists to daily cash controls. Hell, we've got scheduling systems, labor controls, employee app, complete food, beverage, merchandise, recipe cards, ordering, inventory, prep, key item reports, weigh sheets, budget variance reports, a budget creator pro software. I mean, there's all this stuff. That makes me think, oh my gosh, well, change sounds great, but that's frightening. It's not, right? it's kind of the how you eat an elephant thing, one bite at a time.
Right,
Talk
right.
about the process a little bit.
Well, again, I'm not a runner, but a marathon. I think of a marathon. If you want to run a marathon and you don't run, you can't just automatically, run 23 miles. You have to take those little baby steps. And that's important. So there's the whole process is laid out in a long timeline here, but you've got to start here. But you never want to drop those first pieces. I see that. We're not doing the daily paperwork anymore. And so they lose sight of those things of we're building towards something. So whatever habits you implement in the system, you keep doing those. You're always going to do ordering. You're always going to do scheduling, that kind of thing. So I think thinking about these steps along the way, and you're always implementing and building from there, that's kind of a key in any kind of change that you're doing. Whatever you want to do is going to take baby steps to do it.
Just out of curiosity, you've been doing this for how many years with us now? Almost 4. Holy crap. I mean, it just seems like yesterday. Yep. So you guys should be lucky. I used to be the guy that helped, and I get all energetic, and it's not good. It's not good. He listens, I don't. With that said, over the 4-year journey, and our software has grown. You've seen it from version 1, blue screen, not doing real well, to version 2, and it literally has everything in it from the integrations to automatic par levels and dollars per labor hour worked. And it's not as simple as it used to be because there's more, it's more complex. But talk a little bit about some of the results you've seen people get who actually say, okay, I'm going to follow through, I'm going to lead, I'm going to share my numbers, I'm going to share the responsibility, take advantage of the coaching. What are some of the typical results you're seeing?
Well, I mean, you see them all along the different systems. I mean, we start off people with the daily paperwork process. These are things that you're doing already typically in a spreadsheet environment. It's nothing new. People are tracking sales and you're tracking what you're purchasing. So if people follow just that little bit of daily paperwork, we see 2 to 3 points drop on cost of goods sold without recipes and inventory, the things that we want to come, to get even better and better. But yeah, all along the path, there's like these little aha moments with members that just commit to it, stick with it, and we see it all the time. Recipe costing cards, going to take time. Think about if you just wrote out all your recipes on a piece of paper, it's going to take time, spreadsheets, all that. So just commit to the project. If you have 500 recipes to deal with, break it down into those little chunks. And then you're going to be able to do menu engineering calls with David, setting up that time with him, looking over the menus, looking for opportunities. So just kind of keep working the systems all along the path, and you'll see these aha moments, which is what our elite members see and talk about all the time.
Oh yeah. Oh, and at this last meeting, we've got a couple owners, husband and wife, Mark and Carrie, Barbecue Concept, Chicago. We first started working with them over a decade ago, losing money. Multi-million dollars. We have Sandy, who has a catering and retail store, multi-million dollars. So I started working with her. She was making 4% profitability, 3.6 or something like that, not paying herself. Advance 10 years later, they have this competition every year, and they just did it at the last meeting where they stand next to each other, or if they're at separate places, they text each other their increase in sales, where their sales are, but what their bottom line is. And so from not making any money on multi-million dollars to, I believe it was 19.5% profitability, from making 40 grand, if you will, not paying yourself otherwise, and now making 20.5%. That didn't happen overnight. That is a journey, but that is life-changing money. And they have managers, and they take vacations, and you don't get that overnight, but you got to stick to the process, right? Right,
and you're never done. I mean, these people have been with us for over a decade.
Yep.
So sometimes I'll hear people, well, when are we done implementing the systems? I don't understand that question, because you're always going to be doing ordering. You're always going to be training and hiring. You're always going to be looking at opportunities. So it's not a widget that we're talking about.
Right.
It's your whole lifestyle. This is never going to end.
And there's
you're
always something new,
looking,
right? There's the next thing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
There is no finish line.
There is no finish line.
We're about at a finish line, though, in time. So if there was one thing you wanted to share with people who are watching or listening to us now when it comes to, I want to make change in my business, what would that be?
Well, sometimes we'll hear a phrase, I'm different. You know, my restaurant is different. My bar is different. And I like to stop people and ask, you know, why do you think that? Because we're all in the hospitality business. We're all here to serve guests. We need a team to do that. So if you hear yourself, you know, I'm different, I can't do these things, those kind of, just listen to yourself. I think that is really important in any kind of change that you want to put in your life. And just every day remind yourself, why do I need to change? Are you not happy with the bottom line profitability? Do you want to develop your team so that you can step away from the business a little bit more? So think about your why and don't use the phrase, my restaurant is different.
Because it's not. I want to thank you so much for taking the time, and we're going to bring you back real soon, I'm sure.
All right, very good.
Thanks. So we've known each other how many years now?
Oh, let's say 10.
10, probably more. If not 12,
Okay,
to be honest with you. Sandy, I've known for years as a caterer, and I've watched the incredible success, the accolades, the growth of your business. You like to give us credit for your profitability, but I always tell people, I didn't do the work, she did the work. So she takes credit for all the profitability, but the systems, leading those, putting in place is one thing. But you have a whole set of systems on how to sell catering, how to get groups of thousands through faster than anybody else,
Yes.
how to make sure food shows up properly and so on. Like, you're the real effing deal. And I don't remember, it was about 8 years ago, we had a conversation. I said, Sandy, you got to do what I'm doing for caterers and restaurateurs on how to make more money. So talk about thecateringcoach.com.
Okay.
What is thecateringcoach.com?
TheCateringCoach.com is a organization, me, but I do have some coaching, other people that help me that are members, but that we want to help restaurant owners and caterers reach their next level in catering. That could be that you just started out with box lunches. By the way, those aren't the best things to start out with, but they don't make any money, but whatever. Teaching you how to make profit from the beginning. If I'd only known some of the things that I know now, oh my gosh. Like minimums, so many people chase the event for 6 people. You're not going to make money, you're not going to make any profit, you're wasting all of your time. So minimums are one of the things we talk about all the time, is about where you're going to start making some profit is on those minimum requirements. So what we want to do is help you come in, evaluate what you have, see where you're at, and help you start growing your catering business. Now here's something for restaurant owners. You got it made, oh my God, because you already have a database, you already have people who love your food. I had nothing. I was baking brownies for a hamburger guy, and they didn't even know that I was baking the brownies. Right. You've got the customers, you've got the database, so you've got the people who love your food, you've just got to let them know that you cater. And so also your overhead is paid. My gosh, it's like free profit, right, if you do it right. And so, but the problem is that a lot of people that are restaurant owners don't look to the details. And if you're a caterer and you see you're competing against a restaurant owner, many times you go, got this one in the bag, because they don't know how to price things right, and they don't know how to operate to the detail, to the nth degree, to make that event happen. So that's what small, in a nutshell, how we help people.
Basically help you make money, turn everything around. Because here's the deal, if you're a restaurant and you're not afraid of catering, and Sandy talks about restaurateurs are afraid of catering because you leave your place and you don't have everything. Like if you do an event in your event space, that's one way of catering, but you know you've got all your ovens and you've got your stoves and you've got silverware and you got anything that you need. But when you go out to an event holy crap! Yeah, you're on your own, and Sandy has systems on, literally, I want to say stalking or staking out where you're going first, because you got to know where the dumpster is, yes, whether or not they even have one, and you've got to
sprinklers come on.
Right? Do you take your trash out on your own when you come in? Are there stairs? Is there a kitchen? Where can you set up? I mean, all these things. She has checklists for everything, from the sales process, the planning process, the execution process. If I were a restaurateur and I'm sitting there going, oh, I've never catered, what's kind of the first piece of advice you'd give them?
I've never catered. First of all, That's a good one, David. And I've never catered. What would be the first? Okay, number one, you have to look and see, do you have the ability in your kitchen that you can, if you took on catered events, where would the food be stored? You cannot put it in the same refrigerator as the carrots for your dinner service at night. So a little bit of space planning would be helpful.
Okay.
And then the other thing is, okay, say you're only working for your staff comes in at 2 o'clock. In the afternoon, you only have dinner service, look at all that time in the morning. Or if you have total service all day long, they're there from 8 in the morning till 10 at night, hey, if you really want to start catering, start your shift. You have it at 11 p.m. till 6 or 7 a.m. the next morning. So look at space, look at your facility, and then if that's available to you and you can expand it, then game on. You know, it's like, do it.
So let's say I'm already catering, I've taken your advice, I start out, and most people, restaurateurs, they get like a $3,000 caterer, catering once a month, or, you know, every now and then they might have a busy month and they did 4, and it's like, wow, if we could do this. But, you know, if you're doing $20,000 a year in catering, if you're doing really $100,000 in catering, it's going to be good profitability, but it's not a business yet.
No, it's not.
What does it take to go from doing that one catering a week to really making it a business, that it is a profit-generating tool?
You've got to, number one, get the kind of clients that you need, obviously, because they've got to buy from you. But let me just tell you, for a restaurant, it's so much easier to do corporate catering, and drop-off catering right now is where it's at. And so that's where I would say that the money would be, for lack of a better word, where the profit would be. But you've got to hire somebody that's going to be specifically for catering. You've got to have a separate catering phone line. You can't have the hostess answer the phone and go, oh, they'll call you back next week. You have lost a customer. So you've got to make it a separate department, a separate revenue stream, and it can all be done right there in your restaurant. You just got to find the people that can do it. But a salesman, someone that can answer the phone, a separate private email address, that would be how it would start.
Now, there's one thing you talked about is the drop-off catering is big. With millennials and to-go and all these things, drop-off is the way to go. And the nice part about drop-off is you don't need all the staff on site.
No, you don't.
However, there is one huge piece of advice. I hear you. We speak all over the country together at shows, and I hear the one piece of advice is making sure you don't have, if you've got somebody delivering, that they're not coming right out of the dish pit or the kitchen and all sweaty and disgusting and so on. Doesn't mean they can't be the person. They got to be in clean whites. Talk about that first impression.
Yeah, okay. First impression is the person for drop-off catering that you're mainly going to be dealing with at a corporation is a female. It's usually a female admin. And so if you take the guy straight out of the dish pit, and I always use this phrase, you know, the guy's got to look good, the guy's got to smell good, he's or female, whatever, they've got to present well, because they are presenting your business to that admin. And if you screw up on delivering, and the guy can't speak English, female can't speak English, whoever's dropping it off, and the admin says, well, how long is that going to stay hot? Are there any nuts in that? And he doesn't know that answer, you've lost it right there. So the answer to your question is that you've got to have those people trained well, and they've got to be able to know what your business is. You can't just grab anybody and throw them out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's huge. And there's one last piece that I want to touch on is you go one step further. There's one thing, you make a sale, but you just mentioned when somebody shows up, you're still selling.
Yes.
You are reselling why they chose you. And there's one little checklist thing that you do that I think is amazing. It's temperatures.
Yeah, temperatures. Okay, yes. It makes you look like a genius. And all it is a thermometer. And now what we do is we even have the drivers, you know, we make sure that their shirts have a pocket in it so that the people can see their thermometer. And you're thinking, well, what in the world are you going to do with a thermometer? What you do is you have on your order form that you have that's in the kitchen, it says beef lasagna and salad and whatever. And there's a little space on there that before that lasagna leaves the kitchen, it's been temped, and you write in the temperature. So you take that lasagna, you deliver it to Susie Admin. Susie admin says, thank you very much. Let me check out everything. The driver gets out the thermometer, checks it, puts it in there and says, oh, the temperature was 162, and writes it down on the order form, and Susie admin signs off, and they think you're a genius. Why? Because you care enough to want to know that that temperature is exactly what it should be for the client. But there's another reason how it all started was because sometimes you deliver that lasagna and it's nice and hot, and what happens is that they don't eat for an hour because their meeting got delayed, and they call you up and say the lasagna was cold. Well, it wasn't cold. It was cold when they got there. It wasn't cold when it got there. It was cold later because their meeting was delayed. So it's a catch for us. It's a system for us to know we delivered it fine. But on the reverse side, it looks to them like, man, these guys care. They're on it.
The crazy part is this little things, the tips that I've picked up from you for years. It's just a smidgen of all the systems you have, from selling to prospecting and selling, closing a deal, making sure you get a check, contracts. You got, what does my contract look like? It's showing up. Numbers going up. Oh my gosh. When numbers go up, they call you on Monday and they say, oh, fried food for 50. And then they call, and you've got everything in order. You've got this shopping done and everything. And then they call 2 days later and say, oh, I'm sorry, it's 72. Well, then you're scrambling, and then you're losing your profit. So we have a system in place that, hey, if you confirm with us at this number and you call 2 days later with 72, we are going to make more profit on that. And so we've got a whole system for that too. So I encourage your members to call me to make more profit. And that's kind of where I want to get there. It's your deal. Those of you who are members are already understand the importance of systems and profitability working with restaurantexpert.com. Some of you are circling and watching this or listening to us on a podcast and thinking, God, someday I'll join the restaurantexpert.com. Yeah. But whether you do or not, if you want to take your business to the next level and truly find the revenue that is disappearing with all the competition, with to-go hitting, and the millennials don't want to come in your restaurants anymore, and if you don't have delivery and you don't want to compete or work with say an Uber Eats type thing at a 30% discount rate because you're not profitable in the first place and would kill you, how do you generate revenues, seats that don't exist? And catering and events is it. Yes. And the beautiful part is, so if somebody were to call you up and they wanted to learn more, we'll talk about that in a second, and they decide to join your membership, you teach them how to sell, yeah? Yes. You have systems from forms on filling out when an order comes in to how to get that phone line to everything, right? We have a self-study. A self-study that it's only $49 a month, but a self-study that they can go in. It has, from myself and from 2 other caterers, 50 years of different contracts, templates. We've got 50 years of experience of contracts, templates, how to sell, the little thing about the temperature. We've got webinars on there. We've got videos on there. So it's there. All they have to do is want to learn it and want to implement it and to elevate their business. And then if they want to elevate even further, you've got, just like we're here, she's one of our elite members, been whatever, we're here in California at a meeting with 20 plus restaurant owners and managers who are literally want to change the world. You've got your own mastermind group with caterers and restaurateurs want to go to the next level. You've got coaching on a monthly basis. You've got education, and any point in time somebody's in an emergency, they find you and you help them, right? Yes, and I help them. I can come also on the same thing you do. Then we can do. We can go in and do a total assessment on your business on the ground. That's what we call it, on the ground assessment. And so it's like, I had a guy call me last week, and they're like, when they fired their catering executive, and they had I think $900,000 of catering, and they found out that catering from last year, and they found out that she had customized everything and took all the systems with her. And so now they don't even know where they're at. So it's like, okay, we can come in, we can assess where you're at, we can help you, we can give you contracts, we can give you templates, we can show you how that everything can be customized, but there's ways to make profit when it doesn't have to be. So we can do it very personally too, just like you do. So here's the deal. I'm gonna put my name on Sandy. I've known her for many, many years. There's nobody better, and that's why I encourage her to start thecatercoach.com. This is not an overnight business. She's 8 years in business and just growing. Look, if you want to take your business to the next level, want to generate revenue, right? I'm helping you on the profit side, but you want to You want to talk to somebody who understands the profitability, put in the same systems we're teaching, but can make you sales like you've never seen. Sandy's it, thecateringcoach.com. How do they contact you if they want to learn more?
Oh, well, just go to my website, which is thecateringcoach.com. My email is there. It's sandy@thecateringcoach.com. My phone number's there. Email me, call me, and I'll get in contact with you. So thank you, David.
Thank you.
Much.
I appreciate you doing this for me today. Remember, this is not only an exciting interview for me because she's a member who's changed her life and gotten great success, but here's somebody who can help you change yours. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this month's episode of the Smart Systems Insider version 2.0, a video magazine created for you, the independent operator, to not only survive but thrive in the sea of chain restaurants out there. In this month's episode, I had a double interview. I was exceptionally happy to be interviewing one of my elite members, Sandy Coram, the owner of the Festive Kitchen in Dallas, Texas. She's a multi-million-dollar caterer with retail stores, and she shares with you her journey and how important it is to have an implementer, somebody helping you get things done and continuously managing your cash flow. But as a double bonus, she was also our expert interview. She's the founder of thecateringcoach.com, and she shared with you why little things that she teaches can take your catering to the next level, from customer service to sales to growth. I hope you really enjoyed that interview. I had an interview with one of our coaches here, Greg Sauerbach, our solutions coach, who literally has worked with thousands of restaurant operators just like you over the years. Find solutions to make your business take it to the next level, make you make more money, really get your life back. Well, he's been with us for 4+ years now, and he is an incredible asset. So he shared with you kind of those obstacles you face in implementing systems, because it's not easy. The systems are easy, but the people part's hard, and how you can overcome your saboteurs. Now, I shared with you a couple things. I taught you how important it was to categorize your invoices so you have an accurate cost of goods sold. And then in our powerful Smart Systems Pro restaurant operational management solution, our online software, I showed you how grouping products really was magic. How simply grouping those products, so you bought chicken from 2, 3, 4 different vendors, by using that feature, not only could you order easier, your recipe cards be up to date, right? Inventory easier, but more importantly, you could use one of the most powerful tools, and that's ideal versus actual product usage. Show you that you actually use 60 pounds of brisket, you should have used 40, and how that can highlight that line and proactively change your bottom line. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you'll subscribe today so you can be notified when next month's episode goes live.